Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another video in my Instagram on YouTube series where I go over my thoughts on some of my Instagram posts, which is where I do most of my medium form writing. So today I'm going to be going over one of my posts on triggers and becoming judgmental of others. And so my my experience with learning this lesson was around the summer of 2021, late summer, fall. I was still in Thailand on the magical hippie island of Copenhagen, and I was participating in an exercise. And a man who I had just met introduced himself and told me that he loved me. And at that time, and probably even still now, I didn't really know how to respond. So I just kind of said thanks. And if I remember correctly, I kind of dismissed, his words as just him trying to embody this all loving energy. And, maybe he didn't mean it, but he was trying to fake it till he made it. But I didn't really feel or, you know, get take take it internalize it too much in the sense of accepting what he was sharing. I think also subconsciously I was running through the idea of what does it mean to love someone, and I doubted that this guy would ever really help me or assist me in any way. And apparently I do associate love with acts of service, and I just had an uncomfortable reaction to the way that he, was so open with saying that, because to me, it didn't really mean anything. And upon reflection, I realized that, like I mentioned, in my family, acts of service is a big way that we show love, and verbal is not. And I'm sure this is true for a lot of people from particularly Asian backgrounds, although obviously I'm generalizing. You can let me know if it's true for you. And so, I really had a difficult time to accept what he was saying, and I became a little bit judgmental of him and his efforts and his behavior as a result. And the point I'm trying to make is that, other people are the way that they are. And I read somewhere that I guess you really understand psychology when you are no longer upset or emotionally affected in a more uncomfortable way by the behaviors of others, especially behaviors of others that you don't really approve of or vibe with, because or you have an awareness of where they're coming from, so you no longer get upset by them. I feel like that's a good way to put it. I forgot where I read that. Maybe it was a quote by an actor or something. Um, but essentially, that's what we're striving for: having the awareness of people's wounds and where they're coming from, and whatever happened in their life that led them to be the way that they are, and to just be more open and empathetic and compassionate, even when other people may not be that way with us. It reminds me of the fundamental attribution error, in which when someone is kind of like being a dick, we think they're a dick. Whereas if we're kind of a dick, it's like, oh, why I didn't get enough sleep. I, you know, had this call that, or this interaction with my boss that threw me off, or whatever. So like when other people are a certain way, we attribute it to their character. But when we are a certain way, especially a more negative way, we attribute it to just environmental circumstances. And, just having awareness of this allows us to be more compassionate and patient with other people as well, and to respond with kindness and uh, politeness as often as we can. And this obviously has huge ramifications in our everyday lives, because so often you'll notice that, when you're nice to someone, even at first they were kind of mean to you or kind of rude, they kind of match your energy, and it makes interactions go far easier. You can get so many things done. A lot of times people make things more complicated for themselves than they have to be, just by being rude, just by being impatient, etc., etc. Just being kind in general goes a long way. And so our ability to maintain our emotional equilibrium to allow us to be kind as often as possible, can only be beneficial for our lives. And when it comes to reflecting on certain triggers that we experience from others, when we notice ourselves judging other people, it's important to take a step back and reflect on, when am I being this way? For example, one thing I came to realize is we can't really say something negative about someone else without being that for ourselves. And I can't go through every scenario, but just as an example, when we claim that someone is selfish, it's because we believe that they are primarily concerned with their own needs, wants, and desires. And as a result, they are acting in a way that's just benefiting them and not being concerned about anybody else, right? But when we judge them or point that out about them, we're also acknowledging or implying the fact that they're not caring about our needs, wants, and desires. And so, in order to claim that someone is being selfish, we must also be selfish at the same time. And when you go through different scenarios of this, you realize that this is true for pretty much everything. And we cannot point the finger at someone else without also being that ourselves. It's just how energy works. And we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And so when we notice ourselves judging others for certain things, it's important that we take a step back and reflect on, in what ways am I being the same way? And we'll often be able to understand that. And so when you're able to do that, then you realize that, everything else is just a reflection of you. The way we look at things, when we change the way we look at the world changes, right? At the end of the day, so much of it is not objective reality, but our perception of reality. I could look out this window or look at the situation of what's going on around me and have the exact same world, but see it from a completely different point of view. Or two people can watch the same exact movie and come up with completely different interpretations or messages or opinions about it, right? It's a lot of so much of it is perception. And where was I going with this? Accepting, seeing the world as we are, and understanding that, yeah, we are a reflection as well. The world is a reflection of us, and we are a reflection of the world. And taking the step back to reflect on how we are, when we point the finger at others, how we are also embodying the exact same thing, helps us to, see others in a different light, and to recognize that it is just our perception that is making them a certain way. Now, this doesn't mean that you automatically need to accept everyone, or that everyone will get along, that you'll get along with everyone, because we all have our personal preferences for how we operate and how we want to care and live our lives. And so if someone you encounter doesn't match that, it's important that that we, that we try not to judge them, that we understand and try to understand why they are the way that they are, and not try to change them, because we can't change people. We can only change ourselves. But instead, figure out for ourselves what type of interactions we want with this individual. Do we, maybe if it's someone that's in your work, you take a little bit distance, or you maintain a more professional environment and you don't become friends. You structure your life in a way that honors your boundaries and your energy, without trying to change anybody else, right? And sometimes, if you do need to speak up, if someone's overstepping on you, then it is important for you to speak up as well and have uncomfortable conversations. And hopefully, both people can learn, and maybe there's some misunderstandings there. Or if the other person refuses to budge, you adjust accordingly. These are not simple solutions. Everything is context dependent. But at the end of the day, you know, we all need to do our best to live our lives, um, and take care of ourselves in as healthy of a way as we can. And but in order to do that, it takes a lot of reflection, and it does take a lot of honest looks in the mirror, I found. So let me know if that was helpful. If you agree, disagree, I love to hear different discourses, and have conversations about this. This was like a weird concept for me to understand initially, and I'm not even sure that I explained it perfectly, which is why I am continuing to try to write about it, to try to speak about it. And of course, there's a little bit pressure with the video as well, just so I can become more articulate in my ability to explain these ideas. So hopefully you like that. Again, this is my Instagram, on YouTube. If you would like some support and some one-on-one coaching, for whatever transformation you're seeking to accomplish in your life, what I really want to do is help people achieve more freedom, achieve more inner peace, and achieve more love in their lives. And often, what that looks like is starting by loving ourselves and getting rid of the limiting habits and thought patterns that keep us from being all we can be. And it's a long journey, but one that is very rewarding and is a lot of fun as well. It's a roller coaster. So, with that being said, thank you again for watching. I'll continue to get better. Thank you for your support. Go ahead, donate some money on PayPal if you want. And see you in the next video. Take care.